20th, 2026 meeting of the Beacon City School District Board of Education. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anne Marie, can you call the roll?
Sure. Ms. Buscemi?
Here.
Ms. Urson?
Delayed.
Mr. Lemoyne?
Here.
Ms. McNair?
Here.
Mr. Shetter?
Here.
Ms. Ewert?
Here.
Ms. Stauber?
Here. Matt, can you review the fire exits?
The exits are in the back of the LGI.
Okay. Open to the public. Does anyone have a public comment they would like to make? Seeing none, we will move on to tonight's.
Do you want me to make the?
Oh, no, make it in your board.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. We will move on to tonight's workshop. And we're going to start with the South Avenue Elementary presentation from Principal Amendola.
Waiting for the slides to get up?
Yeah.
You don't want to just talk with a blank screen?
Yeah.
I mean, I like the colors on the screen.
Yeah.
All right, so I had the theme from last year. We love South Avenue. Pretty sure it's still, true now too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not as nervous as I was last year or the year before, but trust me, I'm still nervous.
Yeah.
All right, so academic excellence. I want to go through a little of the things that we go through at South Avenue. We still do our rolling agendas during our grade level meetings. We like to keep everything on the page so we can see, talk about action items. We started data review meetings. It's actually with our literacy specialist. It's been fantastic. She meets individually with the teachers. I sit there as well. And we go through a lot of the data with HMH and Dibbles. IST meetings, trust me, I'll get onto that into another slide. Mm-hmm. The number is a little bit higher than it was last year, but it's a good number. Foundations coaching. So again, our literacy specialist has been going in and doing foundations coaching and helping out. With K through 2, we had a coach last year. So now we have our foundations, we have the literacy specialist that is helping out now with foundations. Foundations coaching, again, with grade 3, which is with a consultant. HMH into reading, which is K through 2. We have GNR that's coming in for our ICT pairs, helping them co-teach.
Wait,
Literacy.
what does GNR stand for?
Heather.
It's the last names of 2 women.
Okay.
So it's just a random 2 letters.
They've been really good. She comes in and she meets with each of our pairs of the co-teachers and talks them through different strategies and skills to help out in the ICT classroom. And our ICT teachers have really liked that because they're providing great information to help them with their co-teaching pairs. Literacy professional development opportunities, so we're doing HMH and foundations to help out with that. Science of reading professional development, again with our literacy specialists, and math workshops. So I'll go through the data a little bit kind of quickly for you, and then I'll break it down into 2 separate slides in a few slides. So our proficiency last year for our ELA test was 54%. And then I did again the pushables and the slippables because it's really important to kind of see where the kids are falling within a range. And then our iReady ELA, you can see our beginning of the year is the same as it was last year. Our tier 2 and our tier 3, there's been a little bit of a shift. That's okay, we'll work on it. New York State math testing, our proficiency did drop from last year, so it's now 52%. Again, we looked at the slippables and the pushables, so where the kids are within that range, and where can we get the kids for like next year.
Can you real quick just describe the pushables and slippables?
I will.
Thank you.
So if you look at the range of scores on the New York State math or the ELA test, we look at the kids who are pushables, who we can get them from the 2 to the 3 range because they're like right on the cusp of like almost getting to a level 3. And then we do the same thing with the pushables 1 to 2. They're a level 1 student right now on the New York State math or ELA test. And we're just seeing how close they are and can we get them to that level 2. Slippables are kids who are currently in either the 3 or the 2 range. And how close they are to sliding down to level 2 or level 1. So that's what we look at with the pushables and the slippables, where those kids are and can we get them to the next level. and making sure those slippables don't fall down a level. So our iReady Math, same thing. Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. Same numbers for Tier 1 as last year. And again, a little bit of a change with the Tier 2 beginning of the year. But it's okay, we're working on it. And as you can see, there's been growth. So our areas of strength for ELA and reading. Our proficiency did rise from 41% to 54%. And our level 4 proficiency did go from 13% to 18%. Tier 1 students in iReady did show gains throughout the year. And then there is a decrease in pushables, which we are hoping suggests movement into proficiency levels for those students, which is good. Math, we love having a full-time math AIS teacher, so thank you for that. We know that the kids are struggling with math, which is great having a full-time teacher now, doing AIS intervention and support, and looking at those slippable and pushable students as well. So growth in iReady data, we noticed as well. 52% of our students are performing at proficiency. Tier 3 students did decrease, so it went from 31% in the beginning of the year to 10% in there. And then level 3 remains strong, which is good. And of course, you can't just look at the highlights, you do have to look at the next steps. So we're continuing with the IST process for ELA and reading, same with math as well. For ELA and reading, we're also looking at the diagnostic data to identify some of the gaps that we're noticing. We are doing individual data dives with our literacy specialist, so we can look at the data and try to figure out what our next steps are. Grade level meetings, and then push and support for our yellows, our pushables and slippables.
What's the yellows?
It's like our pushable, slippable group.
Okay.
It's the kids that are like right there that we know we can get to the next level.
Oh, okay, so, okay.
With math, again, same thing, we've increased IST, and we continue the process from last year. We're using the data to identify those gaps as well. Working on effective intervention strategies for our students and increasing students' access to the grade level math. And I'm telling you, it's been fantastic having a full-time math person in there, helping out our AIS team, because it's really providing those supports for the students. Math posters in the hallway. There's a picture coming up so I can show you what that looks like. But the kids can go over and do like a crossword puzzle, which is really cute with math word problems. We still do the word problem Wednesday. So every Wednesday, I do the morning announcement or the morning news with Mr. Burke, and I give a word problem. The kids fill out the answer, they put it in the mailbox, and they pull out a winner. And then same thing, push and support. So we do have an elementary math goal, so all 4 of us have the same goal, which is to have 90% of students in grades K to 5 will demonstrate grade level math and fact fluency. So that's all 4 of us have the same math goal. This one probably is my favorite slide. It's our continued goal. So it's something that I did last year. We worked really hard as a team last year at South Avenue for IST, so our instructional support team. And I'm telling you, we really focused as a team between the teachers, between Leslie, between Amy, between Allison, and we created a system for our related services, for everything, so our kids can get the support that they need. Now, I'm going to show you on the next slide how many meetings we've had. It's a little alarming, but don't worry. So, as of January 20th, we've facilitated over 110 meetings, and we celebrated our 100th meeting, and whoever was part of that meeting got snacks. So what IST is, our instructional support team, is it works on early identification and support for all of our students, grades 1 through 5. And we look at the whole child, so we're not looking only at academics. We do get referrals for social and emotional needs as well. The meetings only take about 20 minutes. That's how much we worked last year on it. So our data is being used intentionally with research-based interventions to help support the kids. And it's a shared commitment for all of our students. And we worked on preventing those learning gaps from widening. Same thing as last year with the culture of care. We have sensory walks, a sensory room, and movement breaks. Oh, I went back purposely because that's my math poster right there. So there's one on the bottom level for the lower level kids, and then there's one on the upper level for the students to use. Building a leadership team, we do a lot of community building events. Positive referrals, where we have 62 positive referrals. So students get positive referrals by doing something kind or nice to someone. We look at it as just like a really nice way to celebrate the kids. They get recognized by the end of the month. They get a little toy too, and the certificate. Positivity Project, our student government, morning routines and responsive classroom, and whoever suggested the dance residency come to South Avenue, I want to thank them. It's a 10 weeks residency program that's going to happen at South Avenue, completely grant driven. They are doing 10 weeks at South, and they're going to put on a show at the end of the 10 weeks to their families. It's pre-K and kindergarten, and today was the first day, and they talk about feelings and emotions and dance through feelings and emotions, and it's really cute to watch them. That video will be posted on Instagram later today, so you can watch a little clip of them in action. Community newsletters. We added this year a Canva link with our running newsletters, so I know a million flyers get sent home all the time. So you can go into the Canva link and you can say, I know that there was something that was sent home in a newsletter, and you can look through the running list, and then you can also just pull up the newsletter too, because the link is right there. We're back doing 182 Days of South. Shared family calendar is back again too, so you can see what day it is. It's a gym day. At a Glance is new this year, so that's this calendar right here. And we send it home a couple weeks before the start of the month and just highlight some of the things that are happening at South Avenue, so it's right there on the fridge. Pick a Reading Partner, which is our PTA event. Family Service Night, which is PTA again. Orientation, school supply drop-off, open house. Rollout Beacon, which is a really cool event. Lauren comes over to the school and she does work with the art teacher, and they carve on those little pieces that you can see right there, and then it gets steamrolled, which is really cool for the South Ave kids to see it. School-wide spirit weeks, nursing home visit, and our Ethiopia class link. And Mr. Burke went to Ethiopia last year, and they just opened up a computer lab because of all that he did to help the kids there. Club involvement, I wanted to highlight some of the percentages of the students that are participating in clubs. So pretty much for the fall, we had 48% of our students participate in a club at South Avenue. Winter is a little bit harder. I think it was also missed in the newsletter, because sometimes if you look at my newsletters, there's a whole bunch of things that are in there and it gets lost. 42%, so it did drop a little bit, but it's pretty consistent with what we normally end up seeing in the winter for our club participation. And you can see over time from 23 to 24 and now the 25 school year, how it looks. New this year, we have a cooking club now and a crochet club. And then this image over here is student council. Anytime you see one of those photos of like the large paw print, and we're standing on the roof taking a picture of it, the student council does that. We've taught them how to line it out outside, how to set the cones out, how to draw and do the design, and then we tell them to direct everyone to where they have to go. Before I play the video, I do have to apologize. If any of you have little kids, you've heard this song a million times in your house. It's probably now stuck in your head at some point. So I'm really sorry, but as an elementary school principal, you kind of have to play this song. So enjoy the video. So we surveyed the kids. That was their top 10 list of things that happened last year. When I get to the next slide, I'll explain something else. So what they had to add, they said things like, I love these because it made me smile. They were really mad at me because I did miss things on there, and I had to apologize to a lot of them. So I missed Trunk or Treat. They were really upset that I missed that. I missed the Space Pirates play. They were upset that I missed that. I told them I'm sorry, mistakes happen. They said they loved the school and everything about it. One said there was too few favorite things. And they liked this slip and slide, which is also something I missed in walking to South Ave Park. They were sad that I didn't put that on there. And then you have the ones that say things like they really liked the field trips, and they expect more fun things coming up this year. So it was a little salty, I guess I would say, that the Glow Show didn't make the top 10 from the kids. That I loved the Glow Show. So I had to survey the staff. I may have told them a few times that I was really upset the Glow Show didn't make it, so that probably is why it made it on the top 10. So according to the staff, they really liked the swimming. They liked the nursing home, the school-wide walk, which the kids didn't pick either. I really liked the school-wide walk. Family picnic, Glow Show, school-wide dance party, the Halloween parade, field day, talent show, and Spirit Weeks. Because we love our Spirit Weeks at South Avenue. And then there's just some of the pictures of some of the activities that the kids did and some of the things that the teachers had to say, like South Ave rocks, and they love the pep rally. I don't know what they're talking about with the administrator dressing up in different costumes. I've never seen that before. And how we have wonderful school spirit. And that right there is our South Avenue presentation.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions or comments they would like to make? No?
Nope.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say I'm very impressed with like your efforts to try and like help support your students. Seems like you're a very engaged principal, and I'm sure both your students and staff look up to you. And then I have to say that I like the positive referrals. It seems like it makes students feel better about themselves and encourage them to do good deeds.
Thank you.
And yeah, I just wanted to say as a South Avenue parent that I'm so glad to see all of these sort of engagement activities and community activities, because I think that is what my kids remember the most from their time at South Ave, and that is what made them feel like, you know, the warmest and the happiest. So that stuff really does matter. So thank you. And thank you for the presentation and the detailed info. And I'm glad that you guys are looking at those kids who can, you know, do a little better, and you have a support plan in place for them. That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
I'll just add really quickly. Whenever you walk in a building, I always try to see where the principal is, and the only time you'll see Kelly in her office is when she's having an ISD meeting. Other than that, she's really all over the building, and so I've kind of both gotten to see her all about the building, but also running a small handful of the 110 meetings. And I, having seen a lot of these over the years, having tried to run them myself, it's a really unique and powerful combination of really focused on student success and supporting students, but also the teachers feeling supported. And that's hard to pull off. And you and the teachers of South Avenue really have done a great job with that, amongst all the other things you're doing. But that's been really cool to see, and I know that's been over a few years. But yeah, other than that, they have to find you, right? Or I'll go looking for her, because Kelly's just always out and about all over the building with the kids and teachers. So thank you, and thanks for putting all that together.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's great.
Okay, now I'm gonna run.
And you get to hang around for a brief time in exec, which I'm
Extra fun. All right.
I said that just so you wouldn't just,
I'm
I'm so excited.
Yeah, so next up, we have a presentation on transportation.
So just a quick, I'm doing this sitting over here, but Anne Marie's going to walk this through. We wanted to do this early this year, and so we wanted to put this information in front of you, see what questions you need answered. If we're not, we very well might not be able to answer all of them tonight, and we can just bring those back to a board meeting in February. We just so the board's feeling knowledgeable about what goes on the ballot eventually. And so we just wanted to start the conversation earlier this year with that.
Great. Oh, hold on. I don't know how much volume there is, but we will see. So I wanted to start with the, you got the end, right? I wanted to start with the EV buses. There's a longer video on social media that Ms. Biordi put out, just interviewing one of our senior drivers, which was actually really good because I was a little concerned about how they would feel about, driving an EV bus. But just remember, we did purchase. They were actually delivered last year. We bought them in 2024, but we got them in 2025. They took a while. And the reason for that was we needed to have the chargers installed at the bus garage. It was a little more in depth than we thought. There's a communication piece, software, all of that, but we managed to get that done. And we are physically using both of the EV buses. We are using them in district relatively. One is doing the 3 runs, the high school, middle school, and one of the elementaries. And the second is doing a private parochial out of district, but not far, into Fishkill, and is going to the elementary school. So I spoke to the transportation supervisor. They're getting about 80 miles in this very cold weather, so she's very optimistic about that. They're new batteries, but, it's really been a learning curve for them. They're very excited about the drivers that are driving it. They find it to be probably a little faster than a gas diesel bus, but in that video, the bus driver does say that it's much quieter and you can hear the kids on the bus, which is exciting. You can't really notice. I mean, I didn't really notice until the day I pulled up behind it and saw the electric, so it looks just like all the other buses. We are going to arrange to have the board go on it. I don't know, it's a little cold right now, but we'll get you there. We'll bring it here for you to see it. I also want to remind everybody that because the cost of the electric buses was a lot more, we did receive a grant from New York State, NYSBIP, which is school bus organization, to kind of offset the cost. And that was all applied for through the bus company, so we didn't really have to do anything, so we just paid the net value for the 2 buses.
Well, the grant was a state grant?
Yes.
Okay.
It was a state grant.
And what was do you know the numbers roughly?
It was slightly more than, it was about 400,000, 450,000 for 2 buses with the chargers. That was the net value, which is, as you see, the prices is kind of been in line now with what buses cost, 72 passenger buses cost.
And the grant was?
So the grant was 225, 250,000. So the cost, so it brought it down to about 400,000 altogether.
I mean, that was the idea of the grant, I think, is to sort of make it what the price of a diesel bus would have been.
Correct. Correct. And then, but it is a little bit more because we did have to buy the chargers, which you don't have to do for diesel.
Right.
So, so right now we're going to utilize the EV buses. We're going to talk about a plan going forward about what needs to be done for us to get more, because right now we're using the maximum amount of electricity. So we're going to start planning that part. The mandate talks about buses that the governor has right now that starting in the year 27, 28, you aren't supposed to purchase gas diesel. You only do EV. There is a waiver process that she's reached out to. So by March 1st, we have to apply for the waiver for 27, 28, and 28, 29. So it just gives us a little bit more time to develop a plan and kind of see where we are. My understanding is Red Hook bought a bus, Hyde Park has a bus. And we have the 2 buses. We're the only districts in Dutchess right now that have electric buses, so.
I think Red Hook has several, I think.
Several?
I don't know the exact number.
Okay.
But yeah, we're one of 3 districts. We wanted to talk about this in conjunction with the new purchase for a few different reasons, but one is because then when we get to the new purchase, they're not electric, and that may be confusing to voters, in May. So we just want to kind of talk about communication around that. I think the key point is we just literally do not have the electricity infrastructure to have more than 2 right now. We'd have to do both a capital project and probably work with Central Hudson.
Yes.
And anyway, so
Well, not to get too into the weeds, but just off the top of your head, how much was the purchase of the charger and the installation cost? Like
That was all rolled into together. I mean, I could get that for the board, I don't know. So when we purchased the buses and we did the financing, it was all in. We did spend maybe $5,000 to have an electrician come in and actually do some data work
Okay.
on top of what we paid
The
for the
installation
buses. So
and stuff.
that came out of the general fund.
Okay.
And is there, as far as you know, any more grants available for any of the infrastructure or buses?
I saw there was a grant through NYSBIP for chargers. I didn't see anything for buses, but they did put that out there. So I think it's been a culture shift now with funding. So that's a struggle because I don't think there's anything through the federal government where there used to be. So we're trying to stay on top of it. I know the bus, it's interesting because the bus manufacturers were told to start transitioning to EV buses, and they have, and then all of a sudden it kind of stalled. So they're kind of in a weird place because they're talking to us about if you needed to buy diesel buses, you need to let us know ahead of time because they've really kind of changed all their operations, and now they're kind of going back a little bit on that. So it's a confusing time for them as well.
Yeah.
But they've really been keeping up with the laws and the grants, and so they've been really helpful to us to try to get what we can get.
Oh, good.
Just have been using them this month on the road. So there certainly may be issues as we go. However, one of the ones I see online quite a bit is that they won't work in the cold or they won't work in the wintertime, and we have not seen that issue other than the range is a little bit less than it would be on like a spring day.
Right.
So we aren't using these to do a really long, like a athletic trip to Albany or something, but like we can consistently use these every day. And, we've been through some tough weather already and we haven't seen that issue. I'm not saying we won't have one, but we just haven't seen that yet. So that's been I think we were all a little nervous that we were starting in January because we'd heard that a lot too, just kind of what's out there. But we haven't seen that issue yet. I think we just want to, and I know we won't get this figured out right away. I just kind of feel for like the community side of it, we're going to be needing to buy diesel buses, but I want to lay out like, here's at least like kind of a draft timeline for how we're going to address expanding the electric fleet so people can see we're working on both. That's at least my thought with how to navigate this because I think it's been a real positive so far. I know we're only in our the end of our first month with it.
So our rotation, we constantly are on a continuous rotation for buses. So what we didn't purchase buses last year because some of them were on back order and we were waiting for the EV buses. So the amount that the bus garage is asking to put on the proposition is a little bit more than we have in the past. However, this will get us going for now, but that doesn't mean we'll never get another EV bus because we're going to keep continuing to turn over the buses. And so that's the time for us to start then getting more EV buses in the fleet. Gives us some time to plan on what we need to do at the bus garage and how to get the chargers put in.
And I think something for the facilities committee to entertain at some point is doing this work part of I'm just guessing our next capital project vote probably is like 3 to 4 years away, which is a while. So is it like we wait for that? Do we try to do a really small capital project, with a pretty low financial impact to try to address one or two things, this being one of them? Like, there's a lot of different things to be thinking about with this. The governor, besides this waiver, the governor's mandate has not, or the legal mandate, it's not just the governor, the legal mandate hasn't changed besides this waiver. Everything I hear, though, it's like, because there's just some places that don't even have the electricity. So it's going to have to change. It's going to have to change in the next year. Especially more rural districts are really struggling with this. So anyway, we wanted to talk about kind of both tonight because I always worry about mixed messages with things. And we obviously have to keep our fleet going. But at least short-term wise, this pilot has been successful so far with the EV bus.
That's great.
And did you say you would have a draft proposal or timeline? Like, you're feeling like you might have that kind of information available around the election as well, or?
I think so. I mean, I think it would be a draft that we haven't commissioned like the architects and engineers to draw up really, intensive plans or something, but it would be more like that group working with us just saying this is what it could potentially look like, and this is a rough estimate of what it might cost, something like that.
Some of the planning, we were also hoping to get EV buses, and they will progressively get more efficient, and the chargers will get more efficient as time goes on. So we were kind of hoping, like, getting these two, learning them, because it's a big learning curve for the mechanics, for the bus drivers. So we wanted to feel like we were ahead of the game. So even if there were small tweaks on how to work the EV buses on the newer versions, and we were hoping to, by then, all the other districts are in the same boat as we are. I mean, a lot of districts have their buses outside. They don't have the luxury that we have them inside. So they're all going to need funding to do something to get the buses here. And so we were kind of hoping of a funding source, but I think the capital project way is the way we go. And we were talking today about coming up with a timeline as to when we should start doing it.
Maybe it's a solar EV bus capital project.
That would be fascinating.
Well, our capital project consultant, Perry Sheldon, has a lot of experience with both, really. I mean, he was pretty instrumental in helping this, like from the vote to the actual, January, what was our first day back from break? January 4th or 5th or whatever. Like, from the ordering the buses to them actually being here, there's a million things between that. And transportation staff department has been great with training and getting ready for this too. But like kind of that behind the scenes infrastructure stuff, Perry did quite a bit to make that happen. So, I know he did that when he was at Red Hook too. So anyway.
And Tetra Tech has a lot of experience with the solar stuff as well. So.
Oh, hold on. I think I'm stuck on the video. Okay. So what we're asking the board to consider for the bus proposition, we are in dire need of a wheelchair van. That we actually have one that we're going to ask the board to accept to kind of surplus it this year. We've had a need to use all of the wheelchair vans we have. So we have several, but we have several student needs where we needed to use them. This one particular was something they talked about needing last year, but because we decided not to do a bus proposition, we asked them to wait until this year. So that's like an absolute need. They're keeping the other one going. We have great mechanic staff and they're doing a great job, but it's time for that van. So that van is specifically something we need. We're also asking for 272 passenger diesel buses. And I put them as small school bus vans. They call them vans. I don't want you to think I'm getting like a white van. They're the small buses. And again, in a perfect world, they would love 3 of each. But I asked them what they absolutely needed, and they said 2. So we're going to go with 2. It kind of gives us a little bit more flexibility. So estimate-wise, without some trade-in value, which she hasn't worked out yet, the total bus proposition would be $688,000. We normally go out with ones that are in the high 4s, maybe the low 5s. So this is a little bit higher, and we can explain that, when going out into the, into the public. But I also want to mention too about how we pay for it. So we finance them through bond anticipation notes, and it's like a rotation. So that's how we do it. So we renew them each year, and it's the level of buses that we purchase. The reason we do it like that is we receive state aid at over 50% reimbursement of transportation aid for the buses, and we get that over 5 years. So we wanted to try to split the payments to match the state aid that we get. So it's not a dollar for dollar, but it actually helps the budget, the debt area in the, in the general fund budget that we do. So this is how we've historically done it. We didn't, we hadn't done it last year. We did a bound anticipation note, obviously, for the electric buses and for the buses we purchased 2 years ago. And so we're asking to do the same thing this year. And just to give you an idea, so I received from the head auto mechanic the estimated surplus vehicles. So obviously, I just spoke about the wheelchair van. He is accessing 2 small school vans, so the 2 we're purchasing would basically work with those. And and we have 5 large buses. So all the vehicles being surplused are 2011 to 2016. So on the high side, we've already gotten 10 years of service out of all of these vehicles. Most of them were on the lower side, on the 2011 side, especially the wheelchair van. And I have a report which we were going to put through to surplus next time, but it does list the things that are wrong with them. So between rust and high mileage, they're getting to a point where even though in-house our mechanics are fixing them, it's not financially worth it to put the money into them anymore. It's like having an older car. It's the same thing. So, parts and sometimes having to sub them out to a dealer if they can't actually do the big physical work on a big bus here. It's costing a lot of money in the transportation area to keep these buses going. So that hopefully with the purchase, we would, limit the amount of money we would have to pay out for upkeep and maintenance on these old vehicles.
And Marie, sorry, if 5 buses are going out of service, the big ones, and we're purchasing 2, does that mean, do we not need 3? Like, are we overstocked by 3, or why are we?
We always have some spare, right? So we always have ones that we keep, because we're not just doing runs, we're also doing field trips, or we're doing athletic runs. So I'm imagining that some of those older buses that he's surplusing, we've kind of hung on to maybe a little bit longer just to be spares, or we have newer buses that we're going to kind of rotate into the mix and into the routes. So he was fine with the 2 and the 2. Again, they always ask us for more, and it would be great, but it's not an essential need. I asked them to really do the essential need for this year. I'd like to spread that out over, so next year we'll talk about a different bus proposition, and then we could, talk about the need at that point.
So just as a follow-up, what we can have for the board is just all the exact fleet information, like this is how many we have, just so you have that to compare this to.
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I appreciate the essential piece. I know bus drivers, I feel like, is normally the limiting factor, but I wouldn't want, a field trip to not happen because we were 1 bus short or whatever.
I mean, our DOT rate in the bus garage is like in the high 90s. So our mechanics do a great job. They pass DOT, like it's all of that. We want to just make sure, you don't know logistically, like a bus might just be out of service, or it might be like getting an inspection or whatever. So you always want to have extra. But I can get that report for you to say.
Thanks.
Because of the bond note that you have and the spreading out over 5 years, so is there a dollar impact, a tax impact for the taxpayers with this, or because you're spreading it out, is it not?
When I spread it, so basically spreading out the payments, you're getting a 50% reduction in state aid. So you're only paying the 50% of the cost of of the ban.
Okay,
And that actually is budgeted for in the debt area each year in the budget when we talk about that area. So when we talk about our bonds that we do for capital projects, there's a line for bans. And so there's an interest expense, there could be a principal payment, and we work with our financial advisors in doing that. It kind of keeps the levy even. That's one of the things we want to work on. We don't like these big spikes. We talked about last year having to raise the levy because of the capital project, so this kind of keeps it a little bit more even over 5 years. Does anybody have any other questions? Yes.
I was just wondering, like, by funding these like new bus like purchases, are we like taking money away from like something else?
Not directly, but it does, the cost of paying for the buses is incorporated in the total budget that we prepare. And the total budget meaning everybody's salary, all the teachers, all the facilities, all of that.
Except this is something that gets significant state aid, right? Like sometimes when we're doing a capital project, like air conditioning in an elementary school or a new entryway or a new athletic field or something, sometimes people will say, well, that money should go toward, teacher salaries and it's like a different, it's like we're borrowing that money. It's like we can't use it for anything but improving our buildings or purchasing a bus. And the state also really supports both capital work and purchasing buses by giving us money back on it. So it is part of our overall budget, but it's not something that we can necessarily just sort of use to pay for
Anything else?
like, some sort of like direct classroom kind of thing. I don't know if I did any sort of good job in explaining that, but this question comes up a lot.
It does. No, it's a great question. So if we don't buy the buses, we don't get this extra transportation aid.
Okay.
That's kind of how it, so that's why we try to do it, trying to get some of the state to pay for it and then have us pay for some of it as well.
Okay.
and is it safe to say that if we don't get the prop passed and we still need the buses, then we have to buy the buses using the full general fund, right?
General fund.
So that it becomes more of an impact could be on program
Right.
if we don't get the prop passed. That's why it's so important, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, and if we, for example, had to contract out with a bus company, there's no aid on that, is that correct?
Right.
Is there
It
some?
becomes, it is incorporated in the transportation aid, not like the purchase of the buses. And I will say that, we do use Duchess Bosse's cooperative to do some of our out-of-district, and it's a lot more expensive than actually doing it in-house. Our goal with the buses and trying to recruit bus drivers is trying to bring some of those routes back because they're extremely expensive.
And districts that rely on a lot of those outside companies, from what I observed this week, struggled with, Tuesday was like a complex opening for a lot of districts with the weather and the snow cleanup still happening. And so it's just something I saw without naming districts that rely on outside transportation companies had a lot more challenges than we did reopening.
All right.
So we'll get back to the board with some information.
Right,
Yeah,
and so the timeline for this, I'm not going to get it right, but the end of February, we need to lock this in, right,
Yes.
with public notices and,
At the
Okay.
February 19th,
what's that?
at the February 19th.
I think so, I'll confirm that, but I think so.
I think it is
Yeah.
that one too, yes.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? No? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I know we had said that we would adjourn to executive session now, but do we want to hear from the student reps first? Okay. So Chloe, why don't you start?
Okay. I've been working with Mr. Dwyer, and I presented my Civic Seal project, and I want to start a mentorship program where it's like juniors and seniors in the high school will work with eighth graders to provide guidance and positive role models and like create like a relationship between like the grades. And I feel like when I was coming into eighth grade, I definitely wish I had someone to like guide me through, I guess, and like tell me things that like adults couldn't tell me. And so I was wondering like if there's a time that I can like present the whole like thing to you guys.
I think
Sounds great.
we talked to, I would love to hear more about it. And I know we talked to Miss Hadelin, Erin Hadelin, who runs the Seal of Civic Readiness at the high school, about carving out some time in February to hear some of the presentations for the board. So it may be that we do it, and we'll figure it out with Mrs. Hadelin. But it's a great idea.
Yeah.
So it would be for while students are in eighth grade. Is that the thought?
Yeah, it's like them transitioning from like eighth grade to ninth grade,
Right.
so like eighth and ninth graders,
Right.
I would say, and like new students as well.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
It's a really crucial time.
Yeah. Anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, Nadine, do you want to start?
I think I mentioned this last year, but I was wondering if students could also get emailed when there's a snow day or delay or something.
Yes.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Yes. I have this, it's set up that I click this one thing but it doesn't, so I have to just click two things. I apologize for forgetting to do that. But yeah, that's easy.
Okay.
It probably will just be email for students though.
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you.
I mean, I know you'll miss hearing my lovely announcement, but yeah, I apologize about that.
That's okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Chloe?
I don't really have much to say. I just thought all the presentations were really good and thorough and easy to understand.
Thank you. All right. Now, can I get a motion to adjourn to executive session to review the employment history of a particular individual? The board plans to return in 30 minutes. Does that sound right? Matt?
Yeah, or possibly less.
Okay,
Probably, but yeah.
30-ish minutes. Thank you. Second?
Second.
Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 7-0.
So just two things tonight. First, I'm going to start with some gratitude. I said it a few times in my communications to the community, but our facilities department did an amazing job working through some of the worst parts of the storm on Sunday, and then Monday with all the cleanup efforts, and that's been ongoing this week from the big snow. Also, huge shout out to our highway department, City of Beacon, Town of Fishkill, Town of Wappingers. Just when that storm started, I was not optimistic about when we were going to be back in school, and to be back on Tuesday was just really the work of a lot of different people and agencies. So just a huge thanks there. And also just a thanks to, I think the other side of that coin is our transportation department. You know, the roads are safe, but they are trickier with giant snow mountains on every corner and everything. And just a shout out to our drivers and everyone in the transportation department for navigating all of that. I guess it's, not going anywhere because it's not going to be above freezing for a while. So we'll get used to it. But just very thankful about that. The other thing I just wanted to do a quick update on, I attended a New York Council of School Superintendent webinar today about the budget, the governor's budget, and just a couple of key points. I didn't want to, it kind of happened later in the day, and I didn't have time to put it in a presentation. Just a few key things. I think this may feed into advocacy for us. One is Governor Hochul used the term remarkable growth in revenue several times in her presentation. They were like, we've never heard the governor say remarkable growth before. The governor's proposed budget has a $2.4 billion surplus in it. The state has reserves in this new budget of $14.6 billion. That's up from 3.3 in reserves, 3.3 billion in 2020. And share that first part because 68% of the districts, which we are one of the 68%, are only getting a 1% increase in foundation aid. So one way of looking at it is it's better than, her doing away with Save Harmless and, districts are looking at a decrease. However, with all this remarkable growth and these numbers I'm sharing with you, I think probably where we want to focus advocacy is foundation aid increases. Yes, there's a huge increase in UPK. Beacon is positioned really well for that because we've been using money out of our general fund to pay for a portion of pre-K that the state will take over a lot of that. So that's a huge help. A lot of districts aren't in a great position for that. But that said, the 1% increase for foundation aid when they have so much positive in their budget and so many billions of dollars that are surplus or in reserves, now's not the time for that. We've talked in previous meetings about healthcare costs going up 9-10% just in 1 year. I don't like being negative about a lot of mandates that from the state because they all have really good intentions. But every year we get 5 or 6 more with usually $0 attached. And then we're finding ways in our general operating budget to, make sure that this PD happens or this equipment gets purchased. And so anyway, with like ever increasing state mandates and their really strong budget numbers this year, I think a lot of our advocacy for our local elected representatives needs to be increasing foundation aid beyond 1%. The last thing I'll say about it, and I looked at Anne Marie because I may not say this super eloquently, but one of the things the NISCUS presenters brought up today, and I think Beacon is really one of these districts, is that you have foundation aid, you have legislators or a governor saying, oh, 1% is fine. They could be getting a decrease, but we are also bound by the tax cap. And, when did the tax cap start? 15 years ago? You kind of, in a sense, locked into your tax position when the tax cap started. And so, and we kind of talk about this every budget year, unless you do a tax cap override, which we've never done. But I'm sharing that just because, like, a minimal amount of state aid or 1% increase when we're essentially kind of locked in by the tax cap, and us being a wealthier district doesn't actually, I used air quotes, according to the state formula, Beacon's getting wealthier, but that doesn't actually mean we're collecting more revenue as a result. So all that said, I really think a main part of our advocacy should be around the foundation aid. It seems like a no-brainer, and my guess is that's where the legislative group, including our legislators, are probably going to, counter the governor, because I'm sure every one of these 68% of 700 districts are in the same boat. But I do think, and what I'll work on with NISCUS and some of my colleagues and with my team here is, in a positive way, saying, hey, every year we're getting new mandates from state ed or the governor or the legislative body, and 1% doesn't cut it. Like a 1% increase doesn't cut it with all of that. So that's my soapbox for today. They're going to share the slides, and I think they record the webinar. You don't have to watch it, but when I get the recording or the slides, I'll share it with the whole board. There's some interesting parts of it, and that's all I have. But we're going to be getting in much deeper in the budget over the next couple of months, and 1% is not good enough for us, right, Anne Marie?
There's room for improvement. All right, moving on to board comments, starting with Catherine.
I'm still waiting. Thank you for the presentation. I'm still very much waiting for that bus ride. Okay. So holding you to that. Okay. I'm in an art frame of mind. There's auditions happening for the musical right now. I can't wait to find out what's going to happen there. I went to a really cool thing on January, 15th. this is why I have my cheat. The 15th, it was called a Winter's Blues Cabaret here at the high school. Ms. Fisher and Mrs. Hobart did it, and what it was is that you can sign up ahead of time, and it's like an open mic, and the kids get to, sing, and it can either be a karaoke thing or it can be your own original stuff. But it was like experienced kids and people who've never gotten up in front of anybody, and just, it warmed my heart. It was exciting, it was inspiring, and it was a very, very supportive environment. And they're going to have it again in the spring, and I think it's a great event, and I just really enjoyed going to it, so I wanted to give it a quick shout out. And that's all I have.
It's a good event. All right, Semra?
Yeah, thank you so much for the South presentation. That was great. There are a lot of great clubs there. We're doing crochet club and cooking. Lots of that being experienced, and it's good to hear about that ecosystem being really supportive. The principal and the teachers working together. So I think that's really great to hear. And that's really all for today. Well, do we need to schedule anything for audit? We don't have anything upcoming. Is there a need?
The internal, the focus area.
Yeah.
We have just given them all of their records. They're going to come on site soon.
Okay.
So we're kind of in the middle of it.
Okay. So maybe next.
Yeah, we'll talk. I'll update you, Semra.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Chris?
Yeah, thanks for the presentations. A lot of good things stood out, but I think the ICT that you also talked about, no, not ICT, the IST, that Matt, you called out really stood out because we're talking a lot, I think, about teacher collaboration and how our teachers working together, and just seemed like a really successful model. So I was also wondering if that happens at the other elementary schools, or if there's an intention to, if South has a really developed practice, if the rest of the district is learning about that and spreading that good practice. That was a lingering question that I had. But
It's in all the elementary schools. And Amanda, for the roundabout presentation, isn't as fully kind of grown out as like the South Avenue model, but it started at roundabout as well. Sorry, keep going.
It's RTI, but we call it ISD.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's, I've heard about it in different presentations, but it was really nice to see such a sort of mature and developed model. It sounds like that they're taking a lot of pride in and found a lot of efficiency. And having 110 meetings in a few months is pretty impressive as well. So just wanted to call that out, but that's all I got. Thank you.
Lavon?
Yes, I would like to say presentations were great tonight. I was really impressed with Amanda's presentation and all the information that she provided. It seems they're doing a really good job with, getting kids on track and in the right direction. I also wanted to announce tonight, due to some personal life changes, I will be stepping down from my position effective at the end of the school year. I just want to say I'm deeply grateful to my fellow board members for their partnership, wisdom, and for the many thoughtful discussions that we've had together. I leave with full confidence in this team and in our community's bright future. And I'd also like to thank you for the opportunity to serve on the board and to represent our community for the past 2 years. And it's been a true honor and privilege. So I hope I got that all out.
I think we'll jump a little out of order here since, just in case people who've already commented want to say something, but I just want to start by saying that you have been such an asset to the board.
Thank you.
You have brought such a thoughtful and caring and calm approach, and I feel like we've kind of got a dream team going here, and you have been a big part of that. And you will definitely be missed. I still remember you coming to the first NYSBA conference, and we met during break, and you were taking notes, and I was like, oh, she cares. I like her. And I'm really gonna miss that.
Thank
So
you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you.
And wishing you the best of luck. So
thanks.
If anybody else wants to say something.
You will be missed.
Thank you. I'm gonna miss you guys too. Yeah,
We have the whole rest of the school year.
I do, yes. I've got some.
That's fair.
You're right. I do have the rest of the school year.
Acting like she's leaving.
We have a lot of budget presentations
Yes, we do have a lot to get.
And some late meetings.
Yes. And I'm ready for them. I'm ready for them.
I had to get my feelings out right now. Eric, go ahead.
Thanks, Lavon. It's been nice working with you.
Thanks, Sing. Thank you.
I just want to mention, great presentation tonight. And also, we do have a facilities meeting coming up on the 9th of February, right now tentatively at 6 PM. That's it for me.
And sorry, is that the one we wanted finance to join or no?
Not anymore.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we're good.
Thank you.
All righty, Meredith?
Levon, thank you very much for your service. It has been really, really great to get to know you better and to work with you.
Same. Thank you.
I also really appreciate you giving us time to adjust to the news.
Yes.
And, put your space on the ballot. You're not replaceable, but
Thank you. I appreciate that.
to try. Also, great presentation from South. I keep that school close to my heart since that's where my kids went, and it's great to hear all the wonderful things that are happening there. It's just a very warm environment. We had a policy meeting tonight, and there will be some policies on for a first read at the next meeting. And we scheduled another one for February 19th at 5:30 p.m. And we don't, Matt, thanks for that budget insight. It's, I'm like a little bit cross-eyed from that budget surplus, and
Yeah.
and it's interesting that she's being so public about it, because actually there is a history of that. I think budgeting conservatively is great, but New York never really talked about the surplus left at the end. So I think that it is a good opportunity for us to advocate for a little bit more foundation aid, and maybe we can work on a letter. There is the NYSBA Capital Conference, which is virtual, on the 6th, which I'm hoping to attend. And maybe after that, we can start on some sort of letter that we can send in. But I did want to ask about us putting a PRAL meeting on the calendar. But I wonder, because we were going to maybe have the website designer join us. So do you want to get a couple of dates that work for her, and then we can choose from there?
Yeah, I will do that. Yep.
Okay, cool. That's all from me.
Okay. I will reiterate that the South presentation was great and very heartening, and obviously I'm a fan from way back because my kids also went there. But I also am just enjoying seeing these presentations at the same time that we're talking about the budget. It really makes it real that, what this money is doing for our students and what it's for. And I really appreciate that sort of combined discussion and that information being presented at the same time. So I appreciate that. And the only other thing I wanted to mention is that I too will be going to the Capitol Conference. It's virtual. If anybody wants to attend, it is all day, but I think there'll be some pretty good takeaways that come out of it. So yeah, that's it from me. So we will move on to the consent agenda. The use of the consent agenda permits the Board of Education to make more effective use of its time by adopting a single motion to cover those relatively routine matters which are included. Any member of the board who wishes to discuss individually a particular piece of business on the consent agenda may so indicate, and that item will be considered and voted on separately, thus preserving the right of all board members to be heard on any issue. Are there any items that any board members would like to have removed from the consent agenda? None. Okay, hearing none. Can I have a motion to approve 12.01 through 16.03?
So moved.
So move Levon, second. Second by Semra. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 7-0. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Levon, second. Second by Meredith. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 7-0. Good night.